We're talking about meeting God as Elyon, God, the Most High God. We met him as Elohim, the Creator God, in terms of his personality. Now we're meeting him as Elyon in terms of his position, his power, his authority over our lives. And we have actually several times talked about living under the authority of God, the lordship of Jesus Christ through many passages. Today we want to talk about how someone met God as Elyon and totally, absolutely changed his life. He writes a whole chapter in the Bible. At the time he was living, Nebuchadnezzar, or about 500 plus BC, he was the greatest king that had ever lived. He had the greatest kingdom. He was the head of gold that Daniel saw in Daniel chapter 2. And he had a dream, and Daniel, as we said yesterday, interpreted the dream and said, "You're this tree, but you're going to be cut down if you don't humble yourself." And Daniel actually said to him, "Therefore, O king, let my counsel be acceptable to you. Break off your sins by practicing righteousness, and your iniquities by showing mercy to the oppressed, that there may perhaps be a lengthening of your prosperity." And so Daniel said, hey, God's given you a chance. He's spoken to you. He gave you a dream. Humble yourself. Acknowledge who God is and how powerful he is over your life. Well, Nebuchadnezzar, it says, at the end of 12 months, he was walking on the roof of his royal palace in Babylon, and the king answered and said, "Is not this great Babylon, which I have built by my mighty power as a royal residence, and for the glory of my majesty?" And while the words were still in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven, "O King Nebuchadnezzar, to you it is spoken, the king is departed from you." You're going to be driven out from among men. And then for 7 long years, Nebuchadnezzar was forced to leave his kingdom, his palace. He lived in the fields like a beast eating grass for 7 years. Most powerful person in all the earth. God humbled him. God humbled him. And I want you to know, if anything is accomplished in our lives, good and wonderful, and we're successful, we could never think that we accomplished it. God gave us the ability. God gave us the strength. God gave us the wisdom. God gave us the contacts. Any and everything that has happened. I don't care who we are. I don't care if we're the President of the United States, the President of some country in Europe, or the most powerful kingdom in the world ever. God is God, Elyon, the Most High God, and he wants us to acknowledge that there is none higher than he. He sets up kings. He takes down kings. And when we acknowledge this, even in our own personal lives, in the little kingdoms that we build for our lives, and we say, "Oh Lord, I'm going to submit to you as Elyon, the Most High God." God's position over us is very supreme, and how we need to acknowledge that. You can't go beyond God. He is the highest. He is the highest. Today, Nebuchadnezzar, well, immediately this word was fulfilled and he went out. But at the end of the 7 years, it says, "My reason returned to me, and I blessed the Most High." He blessed Elyon. "And I praised and honored him, who lives forever." And here's what he said: "For his dominion is an everlasting dominion. His kingdom endures from generation to generation. All the inhabitants of the earth are accounted as nothing, and he does according to his will among the hosts of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth. And none can stay his hand or say to him, 'What have you done?' And as soon as he said this, my reason returned to me, and the glory of my kingdom, my majesty, returned to me. And my counselors sought me. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar," he says, "praise and extol and honor the King of heaven. For all his works are right, and his ways are just, and those who walk in pride, he is able to humble." Wow, what a word. And so here's the most powerful king who ever lived, acknowledging that God is in control. God is in charge. And he humbled to that. And that was his testimony. He actually wrote Daniel chapter 4. He wrote that chapter as a testimony to his submission. And then that's the last we hear of him in the book of Daniel. After that, the next chapter, another king comes along. Well, I want to encourage you today. Bow to Elyon, the Most High God. Make him the Lord of your life. Learn to live by this principle, and oh, what a difference it will make. God bless. Have a great day.